So she was facing 4 attempted murder charges for attempting to kill her estranged husband, Simon Patterson. Now, those charges were ultimately dropped. It was something that the jury was told about on the first day of trial. The judge said to them, you might have read in the media that there are attempted murder charges in relation to Simon Patterson, just letting you know they've been dropped. And that is all the jury heard about.
This morning, detectives arrested a 49-year-old female in relation to this incident, and a search warrant was subsequently executed at her residential address.
Police say you're a suspect. Do you have anything to say about
that?
Yes,
I say I didn't do anything. I love them. And I'm devastated that they're gone. And I hope with every fibre of my being that Don pulls through.
A lot more information relating to those attempted murder trials was given, and a lot more evidence was given. And so basically, what he said, and based off of the evidence of others given in pre-trial, was that there were many times where Erin Patterson tried to kill him using different meals. It's the story that we've been wanting to tell you, but haven't been able to tell you until this point, to do with the Erin Patterson Beef Wellington mushroom murder trial. My name is Ellie Dudley and I'm the legal affairs correspondent with the Australian newspaper, and I'm joined today by editorial director and host of The Front podcast, Claire Harvey.
Hi.
Now, Claire, what has happened today that means that we can finally tell this story?
The information that is now able to be published changes really the way we think about Erin Patterson, and it's been information that I've had in my head throughout this trial, so have you, because we listened to the pre-trial discussion and then we obviously listened to the whole trial, including what was said in the absence of the jury. Let's talk about what was heard in the Victorian Supreme Court during the trial, but in the absence of the jury first. First of all, the cat post. What's that?
We've got to start with the cat post. So as part of the Victorian Supreme Court trial, we heard a lot about Erin Patterson's presence online. We know that she had multiple Facebook accounts, she had a lot of online friends, and there was a post that she made on Facebook talking about how mushrooms had poisoned her cat. Basically an SOS post saying, "Help, I've accidentally poisoned my cat with mushrooms." Now, the bizarre thing about that post is that Erin Patterson didn't have a cat. So that was something that came up in pre-trial and then again in trial, but was ultimately ruled out of the trial and then didn't form any part of the evidence that was heard by the jury.
Yeah, the judge agreed with counsel for Erin Patterson that the evidence of that post was a screenshot that had been taken by someone else. The original post on Erin Patterson's phone, for example, hadn't been located. Of course, during the trial, people who followed it will know that there were a lot of phones going on. There were phones disappearing, there were SIM cards being changed. Erin Patterson's primary phone has never been found by police, and nor has her primary SIM card. So that image wasn't available.
Well, the prosecution tried to get it into evidence again, or they suggested that they might try to get it into evidence again during trial. It came up in pre-trial and then again during trial, because they wanted to show that she was obsessed with the poisonous elements of mushrooms. So during trial, her defence counsel and her, when she gave evidence on the stand, she said that she was interested in mushrooms. She said that she read books about mushrooms, she went foraging for mushrooms, and she showed an interest in it. But what the Crown wanted to show with this post was that she was specifically interested in the poisonous elements of mushrooms. So that's why they wanted to get it into evidence.
So right up until the trial began, Erin Patterson was also facing charges of attempted murder relating not to Ian Wilkinson, who was the 4th lunch guest, the only one who survived. She was ultimately convicted of that. But this was in relation to her husband, Simon Patterson. What did she allegedly do to Simon?
So she was facing 4 attempted murder charges for attempting to kill her estranged husband, Simon Patterson. Now, those charges were ultimately dropped. It was something that the jury was told about on the first day of trial. The judge said to them, you might have read in the media that there are attempted murder charges in relation to Simon Patterson, just letting you know they've been dropped. And that is all the jury heard about. In pre-trial, a lot more information relating to those attempted murder trials was given, and a lot more evidence was given. And so basically, what he said, and based off of the evidence of others given in pre-trial, was that there were many times where Erin Patterson tried to kill him using different meals. Things like curry, cookies, possibly cookies, I think at one point, where he ended up in hospital. At one point he was paralysed. He had part of his bowel cut out. So yeah, really, really serious things. And so then when his family went down, he thought, oh my gosh, this is Erin Patterson has killed my family. She's poisoned my family.
Yeah, he was very suspicious that his wife was trying to kill him. He even kept a spreadsheet of some of these instances. There was a curry wrap, which is, I will never be able to eat a curry wrap again because, you know, he suffered quite badly. He was very seriously unwell. The intriguing thing about this is that Simon Patterson suspected this of Erin. He was invited to the mushroom lunch. He sent her a text message the night before the lunch saying, I'm not coming. She responded quite angrily saying, well, you know, I want you to come. I expect you to be there. He didn't show up, but he did watch his mother and father, auntie and uncle go to this lunch. He obviously didn't think that she was going to poison other people.
No. And when he was giving evidence, he said that he decided not to attend that lunch because he didn't think it was appropriate. He made the best decision of his life to not attend this lunch. The other thing that was interesting from pre-trial is that evidence was given by the daughter of Ian and Heather Wilkinson, Ruth Dubois. She said that Simon told her, or she found out while her mum was dying in hospital and her father almost died, she found out that Simon had suspected that Erin had tried to kill him. There was also evidence given in pre-trial that Simon had told his brother, he had told his cousin, he had told his dad, he had told his doctor about issues that he had falling ill after eating these meals that Erin Patterson had prepared for him. He had changed his end-of-life plans to exclude Erin Patterson because he had been concerned that she was trying to kill him. So incredibly interesting evidence that would have been quite interesting to a jury had these charges not been dropped.
I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm so sorry that they have lost their lives.
How are you
I
accused?
just can't believe it. Just can't believe it.
Well, the judge in the Victorian Supreme Court has finally lifted a set of suppression orders that he imposed right at the beginning of the trial, a long way back, and then indicated would be continued even after the verdict. So normally when a case concludes, we're able to publish what the jury didn't know. We've had a little bit of that in this matter, and you and I talked about that on video before, Ellie, but in this case, the really explosive stuff we haven't been able to talk about at all. Why did the judge make that suppression order?
So the interim suppression order was made to protect a possible retrial. The suppression order was only made in the instance of a guilty verdict being reached. So that would mean that if Erin Patterson decided that she wanted to appeal the guilty verdict, and that could possibly lead to a retrial, it meant that any future jury would be protected from this information getting out. Now, when that interim suppression order was announced by the judge, there was a frantic scramble with journalists in the room at Morwell. We all immediately hopped on the phone with our lawyers to say, hold on, can he do this? Can he do this? And in the end, he could.
It's very unusual. I've never heard of anything like this happening before, because when a person is found not guilty, there's really no appeal right. The Crown can't really appeal that. The jury's had their say and that's it. If someone is found guilty, then of course we proceed to sentencing submissions, but there is the possibility for that person to appeal. They might appeal that the jury's verdict was unsafe, that there was some sort of misconduct during the trial, that the judge instructed the jury wrongly. But any future trial would be a very long way down the road. If you are going to, let's say Erin Patterson did appeal, she would have to go to the Court of Criminal Appeal in Victoria and convince them that something had gone wrong in this trial that justified the verdict being set aside. Then a new trial would be created, there'd be a new jury sworn in, or perhaps it would be judge alone. So that's a long way down the road, and that's ultimately what the media lawyers argued. We all banded together and got a senior counsel in court to represent us. And ultimately that was successful. The judge agreed that any future trial is a long way down the track.
And as part of that, I think, it was part of that argument, and it was part of the discussion that we were having in the media room at the time, was that it was this interim suppression order that was made over a verdict that hadn't yet been reached, over an appeal that hadn't yet been lodged, let alone granted, based on a retrial that we hadn't even gotten to yet. So yeah, it formed a big part of that argument.
During the trial, of course, your reporting was completely neutral, and so was all the reporting that we published. But knowing this information, did you think she'd done it?
It's hard, right? Because when you're reporting on a trial like this, you get asked constantly, do you think she did it? Do you think she did it? Do you think she did it? And we had access to so much more information than the general public did when they were reading our reporting. So all the way throughout, I thought, if she gets off, this will be a travesty.
Yeah, she really nearly did get off. I mean, I think that if she had not entered the witness box, in which I think she made an absolutely catastrophic performance. She made up stories about having bulimia and cried crocodile tears. I think she would have been acquitted.
What did you make of the 6 days that it took the jury to decide her guilt?
Oh, I mean, after day one, I was thinking, okay, she must be being acquitted because, of course, in Victoria for a charge like murder, there's no such thing as a majority verdict. It has to be unanimous. Often when juries are struggling, they'll come in and ask a question like, what can we make of the evidence about her dumping the dehydrator at the tip, for example? They didn't ask a single question. I was wondering, is there one holdout who they were all trying to persuade, one way or the other? I had kind of convinced myself that she was going to be acquitted after all of that time. Did you?
Yeah, I was in the hung jury camp. I thought that there might be, a few members of the jury that were just saying, I just can't, the evidence is not beyond reasonable doubt. It's such a high bar to get over. I thought they might end up in that position. But now we await her sentencing. So we await her sentencing. We're going to have sentencing hearings where we will hear victim impact statements from people who have been hurt by her crimes. And we will bring you all of that reporting at theaustralian.com.au.
Can't wait.